Let me ask you a hard question. When was the last time you made yourself the number one priority? It's not your job, not your phone, not their opinion. You. Your answer takes longer than a second to find. That's a red flag. It means you've been living your life reactively, not intentionally. And that's exactly why you feel stuck, distracted, or burned out. This isn't about selfishness, it's about self-respect. And until you learn to focus on you, your habits, your healing, your hustle, nothing is going to change. So let's get to it. You are the project. That's the truth most people spend their whole lives running from. They'll point fingers, they'll make excuses, they'll shift blame to their childhood, their boss, their partner, the economy, the weather, even the traffic, because it's easier to think that something outside is broken than to accept that the thing holding them back might be themselves. But until you realize that you are the one who needs the work, nothing changes. Let's break this down. Every result in your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is a direct reflection of the standards you've set, the habits you've built, and the choices you make day after day. That means the way you manage your time, the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind, the people you let into your space, the boundaries you either enforce or ignore. It's all shaping your reality. You are not just living life, you're building it, whether consciously or not. Most people go through life like it's a waiting room, waiting for someone to notice them, to save them, to give them a shot. But the truth, no one's coming. Not because people don't care, but because it's not their job. Your success is not their responsibility. It's yours. And once you grasp that, you stop waiting and start working. This is the shift from victim to creator, from passive to active, from why is this happening to me, to what can I do with this? Here's where the education kicks in. Think of yourself like a startup company. If you were launching a business, you'd do research. You'd invest time, energy, and capital into making it work. You'd learn from your failures. You'd adjust. You'd test new strategies. You'd keep showing up even when no one noticed. And you'd know, without a doubt, that the business won't grow unless you grow with it. Now apply that to your own life. Why is it that we'll pour effort into work, into relationships, into appearances, but won't put that same energy into ourselves? Why is it that we'll spend thousands on clothes and tech and entertainment, but we hesitate to invest in a book, a course, a coach, something that could expand our mindset? Because it's easier to chase quick fixes than to face our own potential. Growth is uncomfortable. It reveals where you're slipping, where you're lazy, where you're stuck in patterns that don't serve you. But discomfort is a classroom. If you want to win, you need to sit in that seat, take notes, and do the homework. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Nobody is born ready. Nobody starts with it all figured out. Every person who's crushing it today started with self-doubt, fear, and flaws. The difference is they didn't stay there. They made a decision to treat themselves like a project worth building. They stopped outsourcing their confidence to the opinions of others. They stopped hiding behind distractions. They took ownership not just of their goals, but of who they were becoming. This isn't about being selfish. It's about being self-responsible. When you take care of your growth, your mindset, your health, your energy, you show up better in every area of your life. You become a better partner, leader, parent, friend, and human being. But it starts with you, always. Let's get practical. That means creating a routine that supports your future, not just your feelings. That means doing the hard things, like waking up early, saying no to junk input, studying, building discipline, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when it matters most. It means taking radical responsibility for your choices. You didn't get enough sleep? That's on you. You wasted 2 hours on your phone? That's on you. You let fear stop you from applying, pitching, showing up, or speaking out? Again, that's on you. And while that might sound harsh, it's actually freeing. Because the moment you accept full responsibility is the moment you take full control. Here's something powerful. You are not broken. You don't need fixing, but you do need focus. You need to stop waiting to feel ready and start acting like your future depends on it, because it does. You are capable of growth, but you have to want it more than you want comfort. You have to crave progress more than you crave distractions. And most importantly, you have to be willing to outgrow the version of you that's keeping you stuck. This is the season where you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I win? This is the moment you decide to be under construction on purpose. This is where you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You are the project. And the investment you make in yourself is the one that pays dividends for the rest of your life. The sooner you get to work on you, the better everything else gets. Are you ready to build the version of you that wins? You can't control everything in life, but that's not a limitation, it's a truth that will set you free once you fully embrace it. Too many people spend their energy stressing about the wrong things. They obsess over outcomes they can't guarantee, timelines they can't predict, and other people's reactions they can't manage. It's a fast track to burnout and disappointment. But here's the real game changer. When you shift your focus from trying to control everything to mastering what you can control, everything changes. What you can control is your effort, your focus, your discipline, your response. That's it. But that's more than enough. Because when you control what's yours to own, you regain power over your life. This is where results are created. This is where momentum is built. And this is where people start to separate themselves from the pack. Winners don't obsess about outcomes. They obsess about input. They don't ask, will this work? They ask, did I show up today at my best? And let's be honest, controlling effort isn't always easy. Some days you won't feel like doing anything. You'll want to wait until you're in the mood, until you're inspired, until life calms down. But let me tell you something that will save you years. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. The most powerful thing you can do for your future is to show up, especially when you don't feel like it. That's when you build the kind of character and strength that doesn't flinch in the face of difficulty. That's when the results start showing up. Quietly at first, then suddenly, all at once. Your focus is another thing fully in your control, but let's not pretend it's easy in this world. We live in an attention economy where everything is fighting for your mind. Notifications, messages, ads, headlines, they're all pulling you away from your goals, and unless you fight back, you'll lose hours of your life to meaningless distractions. Think about this. How much of your time is spent reacting instead of creating, consuming instead of building? scrolling instead of moving. If you don't guard your focus, it will be stolen. And once your focus goes, your direction goes with it. You stop moving with purpose. You start drifting. And the thing about drifting is it never takes you anywhere worth going. But when you start setting boundaries, when you learn to say no, when you start giving your goals the same attention you give your phone, everything changes. You start reclaiming your time, you start making progress, and you start becoming the person you're actually meant to be. Now let's talk about attitude. Your mindset, your energy, your emotional discipline, that's on you. You may not get to choose what happens to you, but you always get to choose how you respond. Life's going to hit you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. That's a given. What's not guaranteed is how you respond to those moments. Some people crumble, others adjust. The difference isn't strength, it's ownership. One person says, "Why is this happening to me?" The other says, "What can I do with this?" If you can develop that kind of response, you become unstoppable. You become someone who doesn't just survive pressure, you grow under it. That doesn't mean pretending to be okay when you're not. It means being honest, then deciding to act anyway, to lead yourself, to keep moving forward, even in uncertainty. That's the core of controlling the controllables. It's self-leadership. It's recognizing that while you don't always get to choose your environment, you always get to choose your effort, your focus, your attitude. That's where your growth lives. That's where confidence is built. Not from praise, but from keeping promises to yourself. From showing up when it's hard. From doing the work when no one's watching. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Ask yourself, what can I control right now? Maybe you can't control the result of the job interview, but you can control how well you prepare. Maybe you can't fix a broken relationship today, but you can control how you show up in the next conversation. Maybe you can't guarantee a breakthrough in your business this week, but you can control whether or not you stay consistent with your plan. The people who win in life are the ones who stop blaming and start owning. They stop waiting and start working. They understand this: control the controllables, and the uncontrollables often take care of themselves. This isn't about perfection. It's about power. It's about showing up today with what you've got, doing what you can, and trusting that the effort will pay off. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, always. Your life is shaped in the small, silent decisions you make every single day. What you say yes to, what you ignore, what you choose to believe, and how hard you're willing to try. You don't need to control everything. You just need to own you. And that's more than enough to change your life. Most people are walking around waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to go for it, waiting for permission to take a risk, to pursue a dream, to leave that relationship, to start over, to speak up, to lead. And the painful truth is this: no one is coming to save you. No one is going to show up one day, tap you on the shoulder, and say, "Now's the time. You're good enough. Go ahead." That's a fantasy. And the longer you wait, the more time you lose. Every time you hesitate, every time you ask someone what they think before you make a move, every time you look outside yourself for answers, you hand over your power. And it's subtle. You probably don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're being responsible, gathering advice, getting opinions, but what you're really doing is avoiding the discomfort of trusting yourself. And that's dangerous. See, when you live your life seeking validation, you're living on borrowed confidence. It means your belief in yourself only exists when someone else agrees with you. That's shaky ground to build a life on. Because the second someone disagrees, the second someone criticizes you or questions your choices, your entire foundation collapses. That's why you feel stuck. That's why you keep second guessing everything. Because you've trained yourself to believe that other people know better, that their approval determines your worth, that they have the final say. But let's be clear about something, they don't. They never did. You've been carrying this idea that you're not ready, that you need more time, more experience, more certainty. But that's not true. You don't need more of anything. What you need is to stop outsourcing your power and start reclaiming your voice. That power you keep looking for, you already have it. It's not in a mentor. It's not in a book. It's not in someone else's success story. It's in your ability to decide, to trust your gut, to act on your instincts, to lead yourself even when you're scared, unsure, and imperfect. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Owning your decisions means owning your mistakes too. It means taking full responsibility. But it also means you finally step into your life with both feet. No more 1 foot in, 1 foot out. No more waiting for a sign. You become the sign. There will always be people who don't get it, who doubt you, who tell you to play it safe, be realistic, or wait your turn. That's fine, let them. Their opinion isn't your obstacle, unless you let it be. Most people are too afraid to go after what they want, and they will project that fear onto you, not because they want you to fail, but because your courage challenges their comfort zone. Your growth reminds them of what they're not doing. So what do? You stop explaining. You stop defending. You stop waiting. You make the choice to move, to speak, to begin, and you do it without applause, without consensus, without needing everyone to understand, because you understand that's enough. Let me tell you what happens when you stop outsourcing your power. You get your time back, your clarity, your momentum. You stop living reactively and start moving proactively. You build self-trust, the kind that doesn't crumble when things get hard. You start making decisions based on your values, not your fears. And most importantly, you start living a life that is yours, not one you inherited, not one you were pressured into, but one you chose. Fully, consciously, courageously. No more asking for permission, not to dream big, not to set boundaries, not to walk away from what no longer fits, not to reinvent yourself at any age, any stage. You do not need a green light. You want to win, you want to grow, then you have to be willing to bet on yourself, even when no one else is, especially when no one else is. That's what self-leadership looks like. It's not flashy, it's not always glamorous, it's often lonely, but it's the only way to rise. Because the truth is, the people you admire, the ones who built something great, overcame the odds, made a difference, they weren't waiting for permission. They gave themselves the go-ahead and they figured the rest out along the way. You can too. But it starts right now. It starts with a decision, no more waiting. Not for clarity, not for certainty, not for the right time or the perfect plan. You move, you act, you speak, you lead. And when that little voice shows up, the one that says, "Who do you think you are?" you answer it clearly. I'm someone who stopped outsourcing my power. I'm someone who decided to believe in myself first. And that changes everything. Every time you reach for your phone without thinking, every time you scroll for just a minute, every time you check out and drift into someone else's life instead of building your own, you are trading your potential for distraction, and that trade is robbing you of your greatness, silently and consistently. The truth is, you're not tired because you're working too hard. You're tired because your focus is constantly fractured. Your attention is split 100 different ways. And the worst part? Most of those distractions aren't even important. They're habits, automatic, unconscious, and they are quietly killing your dreams. Let's be real, distraction is the most seductive form of procrastination. It feels harmless, it feels like a break. It feels like you're just catching your breath or relaxing for a second, but it's not a break if it becomes your pattern. It's not rest if it leads to regret. Every time you interrupt your focus, you lose momentum. And momentum is everything. Think about that. Every time you lose your train of thought, every time you pull your attention away from the thing that matters, you're not just starting over, you're starting slower, because your brain now has to fight its way back to clarity, and it gets harder every time. You have to understand how high the cost is. We like to act like we're victims of distraction, like we're just too busy, too connected, too overwhelmed. But we have to take responsibility, because your future, the version of you that has what you want, is not spending 3 hours a day in the comments section. They're not checking their phone every 10 minutes for notifications. They're not giving away their mental energy to opinions that don't even matter. They're locked in. They're focused. They're unavailable to everything that doesn't align with the mission. You've got to start treating your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Focus isn't a nice to have anymore. It's a superpower. And the world is working overtime to steal it from you. Every app, every ad, every ping and notification is designed to hijack your brain. You are literally being trained to lose your ability to concentrate. And if you don't actively protect it, you will wake up one day with a life full of distraction and nothing to show for it. Here's what no one wants to admit. Success is boring. Mastery is repetitive. Growth is often invisible. That's why distraction is so dangerous. It gives you a fake sense of stimulation. It tricks your brain into thinking you're engaged, you're entertained, maybe even productive, but it's all noise. Empty galleries for your mind, and it leaves you hungry for progress that never comes. If you want to change your life, if you want to win, you have to get serious about building focus like a muscle. That means creating boundaries.